This is a vintage looking pot holder, patchwork pot holder that I did using postage stamp quilt blocks, which are quilt blocks that are finished size of a 1 inch. So you will have to cut 1.5 inch squares to make postage stamp blocks. Now I think each square is supposed to be a different print for an official postage stamp item, but I just used the scraps as best I could of what I had, okay, to make it like a scrappy postage stamp quilted item. Yeah, so this is like a vintage looking patchwork pot holder. I used crosshatch quilting to quilt my pot holder, and I just used painter's tape, which is that blue tape. It doesn't leave any markings or anything like that. It's good to make straight lines, or horizontal lines, or it's just good as a straight line guide. And then, as you can see, my mitered corners, some corners look better than others. Now that's like a perfect mitered corner, but for some reason it looks good, and sometimes it doesn't look so good. That's a pretty good looking mitered corner. This one here seems to be struggling. That one's pretty good. Yeah, but I'm just showing off my little patchwork pot holder. I just took time and cut my little 1.5 inch squares, and I sewed it row by row. I like to pin from the center out, so I would nest a little center seam together and pin from one side, from the center to one side, and then the center to the other side, so that my squares line up pretty good. That may not be perfect, but as long as it looks pretty good to the naked eye, then that is okay. I feel like that was a successful quilted item. I don't want them shifted to like way, way, way over there, And then, even then, if I have a quilted item that is maybe off, I won't use my seam ripper for the whole row. I would just undo it in the area that's not lined up, and then just take a few stitches out in the area that's not lined up, and then sew it back together. Yeah, but I'm just showing off my little finished vintage looking patchwork pot holder using postage stamp quilt blocks. And I've done lives and everything while making this, showing it off, things like that. So I do pretty lengthy live stream. So if you're interested in getting some more in-depth information, you should check out my live streams, because I like to do live streams. So make sure you check those out and subscribe and comment, share all my videos. I'm trying to get my channel to grow more. So I'm just showing off my little blocks. Some of these prints I've had quite a long time, but I always save my scraps. So then if I need something like this, I'll just go to my scrap. Okay, and I also made a twin vintage looking patchwork pot holder. So I actually have two. So I have one for one hand and one for the other hand. Like if I have a pot with two handles, or I need a pot holder for each hand, I will have the twin. So this is twin one, and this is twin two. A set of twin, vintage looking pot holders, patchwork pot holders. So yeah, I'm going to enjoy these two things. I'm glad, and I actually enjoyed making them. Like I had to make sure I had two of each print, and went to the, took the time to make sure that it was actually twins. So you look at this row, right? And look at the first one in this row. See, they're twins. Now let's go for the second row. Now let's go to the second row over here. See, they're twins. Let's look at the third row. And then look at the third row over here. So they're twins. And I think the quilting, cross hatch quilting, it's just so simple, and it gives the item a vintage look. So I really like that. See, this is the fourth row. See, check out the prints to make sure each one is the same on both sides. I took the time to do that. So I said I want to do twin patchwork pot holder. So I had to take the time to make sure to cut out 2 squares for each block. Each position, like block 1, top left corner, okay, cut 2 of those, and then the next print, go and cut 2 of those. So, and I took my little scrap bag, ironed all my little scraps out, and then just cut the squares. So, yeah. This is my 2 vintage looking patchwork pot holders. And then I will show you the back. See, it looks good on the back. That's how it looks on the back, and you can really see. So in my pot holders, my patchwork pot holders, I use 3 layers of back. Cotton batting needs to be 100% cotton batting, because cotton really holds heat very well. So, and then you use those 3 layers of bat, and then the quilting just pops out. So if you quilt some and you use 1 layer of bat, it's not gonna pop out like this. But if you use 3 layers of batting, then it really pops out. And you have to make sure you use your walking foot to sew all of the layers together, because it's gonna be kind of bulky under the presser foot. So yeah, you have to make sure you use the walking foot, because the walking foot helps the layers go through the machine pretty easily. And then let's see how and I just do the whip stitch for my binding strip on the back. Because one thing I don't like, and I said this a couple of times in my videos, I don't like when I do the machine stitch when I do this, sew this binding strip on the back using the machine, that stitch shows through on the front. So what I started to do was hand sew Machine sew the strip on the back. Hand sew the joint area. Fold it over and whip stitch the binding strip on the back so that the stitch on the back doesn't show on the front, because I don't like that look at all. I don't want this stitch for this binding strip on the back to show all the way. See, my whip stitch looks pretty good right there, but sometimes it doesn't look that good. So, but you know, you don't worry about that because the showcase part is the front part. So yeah, let's see which one of my mitered corners look pretty good. See, that one looks pretty good. And then sometimes when I don't have enough fabric to fold over to make the mitered corner back, the little corner just struggles because I try to have enough to sew it down. See, that little mitered corner look pretty good. See, that one's struggling. That means I didn't have enough to pull to make my mitered corner on the back perfectly. See, that one looks okay. But this is the look you want to go for as far as when it folds over onto the back. And then if you're struggling, if it ends up looking like this, where you just got to try to pull it and save it to have something to do, then that means you need to cut your strip a little bit longer. So you'll need to figure out what size strip you need to cut in order for the strip to look like it's supposed to on the back for the mitered corner portion. But yeah, so these are my vintage looking patchwork potholders twins. So you have one for each hand, because sometimes the pot may have two handles, you know. Yeah. Or you may need support. One hand for the handle, one hand for support. So that way when you make two, you have a sufficient amount to, you know, do your cooking and work in the kitchen. Yeah, but so thanks for watching. Thanks for staying to the end. Please like this video. Share my video. Comment. Let me know in the comment section what you think. Make sure you subscribe. You know they love for you all to hit that subscribe button. So make sure you do that if you're not already subscribed. And if you are subscribed, thank you for being subscribed to my channel. I really like to show off my videos, and I like having lots of subscribers. So the more, the merrier. So I need everybody to subscribe until I get to a bunch of subscribers. 1K, 2K, 3K, 4K, all the Ks. And then you move into, once you leave the Ks, you move into the M. Now if I move into the M, oh my goodness, I'm really gonna be quilting and showing out. So right now I'm just showing out for a little bit. Then as my channel grow and grow, I would do more showing out. So yeah, this is pretty good coming from a person that's been in quilting 20 years, took classes, watched YouTube videos, read books. Well, I was actually taking class and reading books before I got into watching quilting videos on YouTube. But I'm glad videos are an option, because some people don't have quilt shops, and that's all they really have to learn quilting is YouTube. So yeah, so make sure you get your equipment and give it a try. And the better you do it, the better you'll get. The more you do it, the better you'll get, step by step by step. I didn't start off looking this good in my quilt. This came over time. And then it also helps when the quilt shop owners have a pretty good selection of fabrics, so that's always good. So yeah, so thanks for watching. Check you later. Subscribe. Check you later.